Keynote on stage, a worldwide pandemic hits and everything changes. Well, almost everything. I still researched and stressed and wrote for weeks to put down on paper my best efforts at sharing a message that will bless your lives. I realize I have relied on your hugs and the energy of the stage and audience at SFR to get ready. I don't have that this year, so I'm extra nervous about how this will all come across. What I'm trying to say is this is very different, and it makes me nervous, but there is a huge silver lining. There are over 38,000 of you out there watching right now, and for over half of you, this is your very first SFR. I could never have reached so many of you in one room. Before I get started, I want to share my heart with all of you. We are in an unprecedented time, at least in my lifetime, full of collective pain and grief and anxiety and change. It seems like all aspects of our lives are being disrupted. Everything is changing. Everything seems uncertain. But through this, there are so many heroes emerging. Doctors, nurses, and biotech scientists on the front lines of the health pandemic. First responders, police officers, daycare workers, and grocery store clerks who put themselves on the line every day so the rest of us can be as comfortable as possible during this crazy time. I honor the change makers who peacefully protest generations of racial injustice. I especially want to thank our wonderful employees. Sensi has never seen change at this pace. Not only have our teams had to adjust to social distancing and employing personal protection procedures to stay safe and healthy, they have had to quadruple production in 3 months. I think when we have a chance to look back, we will see this time as an absolute miracle at Sensi. You are all very lucky to have such dedicated employees at your side. It would be easy for me to focus on the bad news and say this is the worst year ever, but that is not how I feel. On a side note, if you have seen me speak in the past, you know how much I love music. I find so much inspiration through it, and I love to share that with you. And this year is no different. In 2015, we took our executive team on a retreat to New York City. Chuck, his wife Shannon, Orville, and I got tickets to see the musical Hamilton. This was back with the original cast, long before it became a worldwide sensation. But we were still very lucky to get tickets. We enjoyed it so much, the following year we took the kids to see it. Needless to say, when I learned that it would be on Disney+, I knew exactly where we would be on the evening of July 3rd. We decided to spend the 4th of July weekend at our cabin in McCall, just a couple hours north of the home office. Between the boating, surfing, good food, good family time, I sat everyone down on our big comfy couch and we watched Hamilton the musical as a family. Watching it this time, and I might add with the assistance of subtitles, the musical took on a whole new meaning. The songs made me think of where we all are as a Sensi family and world community in 2020. Take the song Yorktown, for example, with these lyrics. World turned upside down. The world turned upside down. The world turned upside down. The world turned upside down. A world turned upside down in 1781. Just as it feels like the world is turned upside down today. There is so much stress and anxiety. The pandemic, protests, riots, and monument controversy in the United States, economic stress, businesses going under, and the emergence of a cancel culture with social and political arguments in almost every social media post. Just about everyone is struggling with something right now. You might not see it on social media or team calls or your daily interactions, but it's there. And then there is the sadness over all the things we have missed. Graduations, concerts, family reunions, end of the year school theater, band and choir performances, watching kids play their favorite sports. That says nothing about the incentive trip and SFR hugs that we will miss this year. We could choose to see this as a time of loss and grief, but we don't have to stay in that place. We can choose to see the world differently. When I was growing up, there was a song we learned in Sunday school. If you chance to meet a frown, do not let it stay. Quickly turn it upside down and smile that frown away. No one likes a frowning face. Change it for a smile. Make the world a better place by smiling all the while. The world does seem turned upside down right now. There is no denying that. But upside down or right side up is a matter of perspective. We have the power to change our perspective. We don't have to dwell on the upside down part. We can turn it around and smile. That is a choice that we get to make. In the musical, Eliza Hamilton made that choice when she sings,
Look around, at how lucky we are to be alive right now. Look around, at how lucky we are to be alive right now.
Look around at how lucky we are to be alive right now. Eliza sings this refrain at several points in the musical, this time in celebration of the excitement of the time. A world turned upside down, or look around, look around. Whether you see 2020 as negative or positive depends entirely on your perspective. While scrolling on Pinterest for inspiration for my talk, I saw this quote by Stephen Furtick. Your perspective will either become your prison or your passport. Have you thought about your outlook on 2020? This is thought-provoking. Take time to think deeply about which choice you make, a prison or a passport. Is your glass half empty or half full? Will fear drive you away from connection, love, and kindness, or will you embrace this time to become the best version of yourself? Is your 2020 a great obstacle or great opportunity? Has your perspective on life changed since March? By the numbers, this would be your best year ever for sales and sponsoring. There has never been this much positive energy and engagement at Sensi. So many of you are new, and with each one of you, our Sensi family is expanded and improved. Of course, there are disappointments, but look around and I guarantee you will see silver linings, depending on if you have a prison or passport perspective. I'm disappointed that our youngest daughter, Grace, missed out on all the milestones of her senior year of high school. Prom, senior week, a traditional graduation ceremony, and celebrating with her friends. But I'm thrilled that for the first time in many years, all the kids have come home. And Grace gets to be surrounded by her sisters and brother during a summer when she thought she would be all alone. I'm disappointed that Owen's mission ended early, but the same thing happened to his girlfriend, Mia, who was serving in Paraguay. They are now reunited and are both working at Sensi. Owen has taken his two hobbies, photography and leather making, and started a business. I feel bad for our newlyweds, Emma and Easton, whose new life was upended. They came home for the weekend before the official stay-at-home order began in March. Emma is able to work her job remotely from our home while she also completes her anthropology field study. Easton is working as an operations management intern at Sensi before they both head back to school in the fall to finish their degrees. And as a side benefit, I didn't have to get a hair and makeup person for SFR this year. Emma kindly volunteered. It is sad that Mary's job was furloughed, but she had just found out she was pregnant with her first child. Her husband, Chase, who has a great job that was supposed to start in July, had the start date pushed to November. So they've been able to spend their entire pregnancy together and are living in our travel trailer in our driveway. I never thought that I would be able to spend so much time with Mary and Chase. I'm so excited to meet our first grandson in just a few months. I feel bad that our oldest, Sarah, had plans to move to Georgia from LA, but those plans were also canceled. As you may have seen on Instagram, she got engaged this month and is getting married hopefully in October. We are excited for her and are so happy to welcome her fiancé, Jacob, into the family. He has been able to work on his PhD and teach at the University of Georgia remotely. As their mom, it has been a huge blessing to be surrounded by all of the children for this extended period of time. We have had many family firsts in quarantine. I've loved every minute with them. And what about Sensi? I'm disappointed that I didn't get to see so many of you on our incentive trips this year to celebrate all of your accomplishments. But I am thrilled to see you spending that extra time with your teams and loved ones, and spending the money that you received in lieu of the trip on other worthwhile things. I'm disappointed that we had to cancel all 3 of our reunions, but we are reaching 4 times as many of you through our SFR at home. I was worried about Sensi when fairs, markets, and shows were canceled and shelter-in-place orders made in-home parties impossible. But you are embracing technology and your own creativity to reach goals you doubted you would ever achieve. Sensi just turned 16 and is thriving. In the United States, 16 is the age when children first get a driver's license. I guess you could say Sensi is learning how to drive on its own without mom and dad. We're having our best year ever, and Orville and I can honestly say it is not because of us. Our executive team is tackling every challenge. They work so well together. I've never been more confident in the leadership at Sensi or the dedication of our employees. Meanwhile, thousands of new consultants have flocked to Sensi during this pandemic. Tens of thousands more are setting personal sales and sponsoring records because of the community built by our amazing superstar directors and future SSDs who are leading our growing Sensi family with love and renewed excitement. During my browsing on Facebook for this talk, I saw a post from Sensi consultant, superstar director Danielle Shoup. I'd like to share part of her post. Let me tell you, I've got a love-hate relationship with this COVID craziness. Hate the feelings of being trapped in our homes, secluded from each other. While the news shows us the nastiest part of humanity, I see companies manufacturing things like disinfectants, masks, and hand sanitizers to alleviate shortages. I see people breathing, people that are normally go, 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 that are pausing and enjoying their families, their life, their homes that they work so hard for. People are laughing, playing games. I see awareness where there was lack thereof before. I see people moving their bodies. I see people reading. I see people communicating. And most importantly, I see people listening, just being still and listening. Do not twist my words, friends. I know there is a pandemic, but unglue your eyes from your news feeds and look around you. There is good and light and progress all around. It's not perfect, but man, oh man, do I believe we needed this pause. When the world starts turning again and life resumes, are you going back differently? I think for many of us, life is drastically different than what it was 3 short months ago. But overall, I'm grateful for many of the changes and eye-openers. I love how she talks about the human connections that she sees, and I love when she said eye-openers. People are breathing, pausing, enjoying family, reading, communicating, being aware, being still. What Danny is expressing is hope in a better future. Hope helps us power through adversity by keeping us focused on better days to come. There is a Bible story in the Old Testament that I love. Caleb and Joshua were 2 of 12 spies sent by Moses to assess their prospects in the Promised Land. 10 of the 12 spies brought back a report full of fear and doubt. They believed the enemy was too great. They only saw the obstacle. Joshua and Caleb came back with a slightly different story. They represent the same faith and hope in a better future that Danny expressed. While they admitted the enemy was big, they understood God was bigger. Whether you believe in God or not, this is a story of perspective. We learn that we can't let our problems define us. Our obstacles are big, but if our vision is bigger, there is no obstacle that can limit us. With faith, we can see from a perspective higher than our own. Borrowing a perspective from above allows us to see the big picture. The overview effect is a secular example of a change in perspective similar to the way believers use faith. The overview effect is experienced by astronauts when they see the Earth for the first time from space. It is a life-changing perspective shift and a profound change that cannot be put into words. Here is what one space tourist who traveled to the space station had to say about their experience. If people can see Earth from up here, see it without those borders, see it without any differences in race or religion, they would have a completely different perspective. Because when you see it from that angle, you cannot think of your home or your country. All you can see is one Earth. I get a glimpse into what the astronauts are talking about when I see their images and hear their stories. All of us have the opportunity to experience an overview effect in our own lives by broadening our views in order to gain perspective. We do this by looking outside of ourselves and serving others. Orville and I have experienced a Sensi overview effect. You may see Sensi as a way of making a little extra money to pay for dance lessons, or to work hard and earn an incentive trip, or even as a business to replace the income of a lost job. When we see Sensi, we don't see teams and downlines. We see Sensi as a unified community where everyone belongs and where we act in service of each other. This is a big part of how we contribute more than we take. We are a family of interconnected individuals who need to love and take care of each other. I have witnessed so many examples of that love and compassion. I've watched the Sensi community rise up during difficult times. A Sensi sister, Jonna Atkinson Bigelow, was a dear friend to my mom. She recently lost her daughter, Brinley, in an accident. We were heartbroken over her loss. Recently, we talked about her friendship with my mom, how we met Brinley at Disney World in 2016 on the last family incentive trip. And we shared with each other our love of the musical Hamilton. Jonna shared how her Sensi family helped her through losing her precious daughter. Here is some of her story. I had just bought the cast album of Hamilton prior to the accident. We had tickets for June 11th to see it before the New York City to Bermuda cruise. I got a little misty the first time I heard it in my car. Music and my vivid imagination do that to me. I've referenced that song so many times during this journey. We really are living the unimaginable. Jonna is referring to the song It's Quiet Uptown that is sung in the Hamilton musical at the point where Eliza and Alexander Hamilton are grieving the death of their son.
There are moments that the words don't reach. There is suffering too terrible to name. You hold your child as tight as you can and push away the unimaginable.
Jonna continues, I shared Brinley's story on the Sensi Director's page, and condolences and pledges to help with funeral expenses started pouring in from so many of my Sensi family whom I had met during the Sensi incentive trips and SFRs I've been blessed to attend since joining in 2011. Not only from across the US, but also from around the world, some from Australia, Canada, Guam, Mexico, and the UK. Of course, Carolyn and Gary Page, my adopted Sensi parents in Kentucky, reached out immediately, as did Paul and Carrie Daniel, my director. Then Heidi Korobakalis and her sweet son showed up at Brinley's celebration of life. all the way from California. Then Debbie Blackshear and Eddie drove to our house to visit us. Golly, even as I'm typing this, the magnitude of how Scentsy has blessed my life is so overwhelming, and I'm starting to weep a bit. And that journey started with a candle fire, true beauty from ashes in ways I'd never dreamed, including living the unimaginable. Jonna goes on to talk about a home show where so many of her customers showed up just to hug her and express their sorrow. Because often the Scentsy family extends way beyond those of you who are consultants. Jonna continued, the majority of the people coming through were coming just to hug me, love me, and let me know that they were praying for all of us during this unimaginable time. To know me is to know my family, Brad, Braden, and Brinley. To know me is to know I am a part of a bigger family, my Scentsy family, because that's what we are to each other. Thank you, Jonna, for allowing me to share a small window into your story. While most of us will thankfully never know the pain of losing a child, Jonna belongs to a community where others have. Like Jonna, or Joshua and Caleb, or Danielle, or Alexander and Eliza Hamilton, our perspective can give us a passport out of pain. And the family ties we form as we invite others to belong to our community help us, as Jonna said, create true beauty from ashes in ways we can never imagine. Community is at the center of all that we do at Scentsy. I'm so grateful that the Scentsy family was there to love and support Jonna. Just as the Scentsy family is there for so many of you, and for me and Orville and our family too. Being part of a community, listening to and having respect for each other, and acting with love and compassion can help us gain perspective. Watching you all take care of each other and lift each other up, especially over these last few months, makes me so proud of what we have created together at Scentsy. And honestly, it makes it easy for me to say, I wouldn't go back to the world as it was before the pandemic for anything. And I know that there are lots of people in the world who agree with me. If you haven't seen it yet, go to YouTube and search for the video, The Great Realization from Tomfoolery. It went viral in May and currently has over 6.4 million views. It tells the history of 2020 as a bedtime story from a dad to his kids. It went viral because its message is so important. The punchline? We all preferred the world we found to the one we left behind. I don't want anyone to get sick or lose someone to coronavirus, so please don't misunderstand me. But I believe that what we have experienced throughout this time is a gift to treasure and an opportunity to reset our priorities. Can we all agree that it has been nice to have a little more time to think, to invest in ourselves, to be with our families, to appreciate each other, and the simple things like family meals together? Maybe instead of wishing for a new normal, we should instead set our sights on something more radical, a reset. I read an article recently about what business leadership might look like in a post-coronavirus future. Similar to the Great Realization video, this article is also hopeful for a better future. The author said, if we simply use the old normal as a baseline to define our new normal while we wait patiently for a COVID-19 vaccine, we will have missed our chance to start anew. We will have squandered the opportunity to redefine how we work, how we live, how we care. I don't want to see that happen. He goes on to talk about history and the Great War, World War I, the Great Depression of the 1930s, and the Great Recession of the 2000s. He suggests that perhaps instead of looking for a new normal in 2020, we should rescue the word great and make it positive for once. It's time for a great reset. Let us not allow ourselves, even for a nanosecond, to believe everything was normal on March 11th, 2020, when coronavirus was declared a pandemic by the World Health Organization. I agree that we do need to come together and embrace what this great reset has to offer. This pandemic has given us the unexpected opportunity to step back and reevaluate what's important. So many of us complain about not having enough time. Now we've been given the rare gift of more time. Time is a theme throughout Hamilton musical because Alexander Hamilton was known for working like he was running out of time.
How do you ride like you're running out of time? Right day and night like you're running out of time. Every day you fight like you're running out of time. Like you're running out of time. Are you running out of time? How do you ride like tomorrow won't arrive? How do you ride like you need it to survive? How do you ride every second you're alive? Every second you're alive. Every second you're alive.
Would his life have been different if he had slowed down, if he wasn't always writing like he was running out of time? Will our lives be different if we stop living like we're running out of time, accept the Great Reset, and actually use our time to become the best versions of ourselves? And by becoming better people, create a better world? Taking time can help us to gain perspective. It allows us to think about the life and the world we want to have. I believe with all my heart that Sensi, including all of you, makes the world a better place. But we as a human race still have so much work to do. We don't have to mourn the old normal. Instead, look around. Look around at how lucky we are to be alive right now. The world we have is beautiful, and life after this historic period in human history does not have to look like it did March 11th, 2020. How has your perspective changed this year, this month, this week, today? How will you gain perspective? Hope, faith, community, taking time to do things you have always wanted to do and improving yourself? Slowing down and savoring time with family, these are all things we can embrace. What are you looking forward to for the rest of 2020? What do you not want to return to when this time is over? I hope you made some note of the silver lining moments I shared with you today. Now it's your turn to share with me. I really want to capture how we are embracing this time as a Sensi family and using it to make our lives better. So I invite you to take some time in the next week to share a short video, story, or picture that illustrates how you are gaining perspective and making the most of this time to #SensiPerspective2020 by August 1st. We will make a video to commemorate how Sensi family is celebrating our community, our growth, and our own silver linings during this unbelievable time in 2020. Watch for it to be shared next month. I can't wait to see all of your posts and what the reset of 2020 has in store for all of us. For now, remember to look around. Look around at how lucky we are to be alive right now. I love you.